Hey y'all, it's Amanda and this is my Texas Zone garden, and today we're in the front yard and we're going to be making a dramatic change. We're going to be pulling up all of the violas and pansies which are suffering from spider mites. We're going to be cutting back a lot of the petunias to encourage bushier plants, and we're going to be doing a lot of cleanup and deadheading of late spring blooms. So this is actually going to be two parts. We're going to do all the cleanup work today, and then the next day we're going to be planting lantana, and I'm going to do an in-depth video on growing lantana. But that's what we're going to be replacing everything with. But right now, all the violas and pansies, which I've planted out probably in November, they're all really starting to suffer from spider mites and chlorosis. And so now it's time to kind of go ahead and remove them out and get the garden prepped for summer color. So let me take you guys through and show you what we're going to do. Okay, so I left a lot of stuff in because of the garden tour. I wanted lots of color. But it really is time for all of these violas to come out. These are penny blue violas, and you can see that they are scraggly. They have spider mite damage. They're just drying out. They do not like the heat. They're over it. And so we want to take all of those out, and that includes, it goes all the way through this area. And then we're going to remove all of these pansies. And these pansies look pretty good from far away, but once you get close up, you can see the chlorosis on these. They're just really struggling. They only have a couple more weeks before they will all die out. And so we're going to remove all the pansies all the way across the front of here and get this space prepared for lantana to come and fill in for the summer. So let's go ahead and start with the violas and pansies, and then we'll go back through and we'll trim back some of the petunias and some of the perennials. So I'm not really like stressed about removing any of the roots. I'm okay leaving the roots in here. They're just going to add nutrients. Now some of them are going to come out, and that's okay. But it really just is time to get these all cleaned out. So if the root system comes out, that's great. If it doesn't, it stays and all I get is the flowers on top, that's fine too. By leaving the roots in, these plants are dying, and so those roots will die, and then they'll rot, and then they will add nutrients to the soil. So you don't always have to pull the entire thing up. And this is very cathartic. I love this time of year where I get to make this transition. These grow for such a long time for me. I usually plant them out in November, and they last all the way until May. So it's really fun because I can enjoy them through the winter and have some color in the winter. And then come January, February, they start to put on a ton of growth and really fill out beautifully in this area. It would have been better to pull these up like right after some rain, but this will still work. Size, one plant. When I plant my violas, I plant them with plant tone. I try to plant them about 2 to 3 weeks before our first frost of the season so that they have a little bit of time to establish before the colder weather starts to arrive. And I found that doing that system is really beneficial to the plants and helps them last quite a long time. as I'm pulling these pansies up, it is revealing the Dutch iris that I planted here, Dutch iris bulbs I planted here. And those are kind of hit or miss bulbs for me. They do come back, but I feel like they come back 75% less each season, each year. And so I do have to replenish and replant those over time. But they're such small, easy bulbs to plant that it's no big deal. Well, that's a dramatic difference. Pulling those all up really changes the color direction front garden, because a lot of the purple and some of the pink are gone. You can start seeing some of these warmer tones popping up, which is the goal that I like to have for my garden. These are banana cream Shasta daisies. There's 2 plants there. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut back my my Foxglove. Now, Foxglove is poisonous, so I'm going to use gloves, and I'm going to make sure that I'm not inhaling, because even their pollen is poisonous, or toxic, I should say. I'm going to go ahead and cut those back now. I know that I could leave them and allow them to reseed, but they have never reseeded for me. See this brown part right here? That's their seed pods. All of this, they've never reseeded for me. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to save these stems, collect the seeds from them, and then restart them myself. Probably sometime this summer, because I loved having them in the front garden this year. Okay, so for the Foxglove, I'm going to keep it pretty simple and just come and cut all the way down at the base. And then what I'm going to do is, just in this container right here, I'm just going to cut off the seed pod portion like that. Just clean these up, and then I'm going to remove any old leaves or debris and allow these they'll fill back in over the season. They do act as a perennial. They come back multiple years, although I've seen some varieties are biennials, so they only bloom once every 2 years and then they're done. They don't come back. So we'll see. I think this variety is called Camelot, and I've grown it and transplanted it from multiple places in my yard. So we'll see what happens. And I'll show you guys at a later date how I store these seeds. will say that in particular, these Foxglove these were transplanted for the backyard. They are suffering from spider mites. So I'm taking these plants pretty much all the way down so that I can get rid of all this debris that spider mites are hanging out in. Okay, so I've just got all the buds with the seeds, so the seed pods in here. I'm just going to let them dry in this container. I'm probably just going to put them inside, leave them like that for a few weeks, and once everything is really dried, then I'll harvest the seeds. Okay, let's talk petunias. These are the petunias that I grew from Dollar Tree seed. They are glorious. I'm going to do it again. 25 cents per packet. Just glorious. I was chatting with some people about this at the garden tour, and I'm beside myself how well these did. Now, they are extremely leggy, which means I should have pinched them quite frequently earlier on, and I did not. So what we're going to do at this point is we're going to give them a pretty harsh pruning, which I think is going to help sustain them further throughout the hot weather, because petunias don't actually do great in my hot weather. They tend to, let me grab my basket. They tend to get chlorosis really bad, and they fizzle out, and it's not awesome. So just coming in, making sure that I'm leaving at least a few sets of leaves behind me. It's going to be pretty harsh because you're going to see almost all of the flowers disappear. But these are all so big that they're about to fall over anyway. Some of them are falling over already. And I've got a lot of wow factor and a lot of enjoyment from growing them from seed, which was really fun. I love when I grow something from seed all the way to fruition. I think it's super fun. So I'm going to just go ahead and take these back, and this will also encourage some branching for them. But it's going to look really rough, and I know a lot of y'all are going to be like, oh, but it's what's beneficial for my garden. Here in the South, it's really hard to grow petunias. Some of y'all have said you've been able to grow specifically super petunias through the summer. I have tried a lot of years, y'all, and not been able to do that. So this is my first year I actually didn't buy any super petunias, which is very different for me because I love them. Got a gaillardia down here that we might get cleaned up too. All right, my cleome is looking a little rough, so I'm actually going to cut it back too. See if I can't get it to send me up new flowers. That's actually the third time I've done that this year on those. All right, now I'm going to go through and cut back all my daffodil leaves that I couldn't get to because of all the pansies and violas that were here. And I might have to trim back a little bit of the coleus that's flopping. Encourage it to bush out some more. Yeah, I think cutting back some of the coleus would be a really good idea. Some of it's starting to flower. Y'all are probably just dying. I know how much I'm cutting stuff back. Y'all are probably like, Amanda, You're cutting everything. There's lots of stuff in the back. There's lots of stuff for pollinators, no worries. But I want to get additional flushes out of all my stuff before my weather gets too intense. Yeah, some of this clay is just trying to bloom. We don't want it to bloom. When it starts blooming, that means it starts working on seeds. And it is way too early for this to be working on seeds. Okay, what a dramatically different look. Pretty harsh, still lots of color. I didn't cut back these petunias quite yet, but I will in probably a week or so. I think we need to come deal with a few perennials. So I think we need to deal with this gaillardia, which looks like it got choked out by the petunias because I have additional gaillardia over here. It looks like we need to cut back some of this dianthus just to get some reflush on these. Everything else is still looking really good. My profusion salvia right there is still looking really nice. Did notice a few calla lily bulbs trying to come up. Those are from like 3 or 4 years ago, which is crazy to me. Summerific hibiscus. It's looking beautiful. I ended up coming in and supporting it because it did have 4 big branches and then one of them fell. So I came back in. One of them snapped right at the base, right down there. So I ended up coming in and supporting them. Over here we have a few more things coming up. These are Grape Queen asters that are coming up right there. And they will give me a bloom cycle now and then a bloom cycle in the fall. I'm wondering, I planted an Amsonia right there. Y'all tell me, is that a weed or is that an Amsonia? Y'all let me know what you think. This is a rock rose, which is getting ready to bloom, which will be glorious. You see some of its pink blooms there. This is a Nepeta. I can't remember which variety. I believe it's white, right here on the front. These are all my Super Bisma Triumph petunias. Looking absolutely beautiful. They need a trim back, but I'm going to wait a couple of weeks and let the other petunias start flushing back, and then we'll give these a trim back. Do have some volunteer zinnias popping up in some places. These plants right here are dahlias. We're getting to the end of my penstemon. Look at this dahlia right here. That's a color spectacle dahlia. Absolutely beautiful. I do have petunias over here on the side. This whole area I'm not planning to work on right now. So there's lots of things for my pollinators to enjoy, even though I cut back so much in the front. Okay, let's address those perennials, and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to jumpstart regrowth on all of this. Can I just tell you how excited I am to get lantana in here? Okay, I have a gaillardia right here, which is looking rough. Looks like it's got some spider mite issues. It's definitely struggling. This is part of the Arizona Sun series. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a little bit of a trim back and hope that that will help reboost it. Get it going again. Just a little trim back like that, no big deal. I'm not trimming all the way to the ground or anything like that. Just hoping that this will allow it to spend a little bit of time on its roots. This is another one right over here as well, and I believe this is one too. This guy looks kind of rough. Everybody's getting a lot more sun because they were so covered over by the petunias, so it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment for them. Okay, right here I have 3 magenta dianthus that are bloomed out, so I'm just going to give them a haircut about 6 inches off the top These are newer perennials for me. I planted them last fall. We're just going to do that, and that'll encourage a refresh. You can see over here, this mom is getting ready to bloom. So we'll let it bloom, and then at the end of the June, we'll cut it back really harshly, and it'll give me another round of blooms. I do need to divide this one this fall. Okay, I don't have a compost area. It's not something I'm interested in doing right now or necessarily have room for. So I do toss all my stuff. And it's all the way filled to the brim. That's a lot. I love pruning. I like the fresh start it gives me. I like that it forces me to look at everything in my garden closely. I think it's really great. I am pretty harsh on my pruning. I know some people are probably like, oh my gosh. I love it. It's fun. I like fresh starts. Okay, so I've done pretty harsh pruning on these, and the only time all these plants have been fertilized was when I planted them. I put in a slow release fertilizer, but I want to go ahead and give them a boost to start regrowth and to help them really start beefing up before our weather gets seriously hot. So I'm going to be applying Alaska fish fertilizer. So this is like a fish emulsion. This stuff does really, really good. It smells terrible, but a little bit goes a long way on it. So I used one of those old Miracle Grow dispenser things to apply it. So let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so this is just one of those old Miracle Grow dispensers. This works pretty well. So basically all I do is I come in here and I put some globs in here. Not much. I bet this is like half a cup. But you can refill it over time. Now this is the key. You need to add water to it separately like this. Leave a little bit of room in there. Put the lid back on. And shake this guy really, really good, because this is a highly concentrated mixture, and this is going to allow it to spread better. Let me see if I can get this unscrewed. I really need a better way to store my hose, so if any of y'all have ideas, let me know. All right, and I might have to fill this partway, refill it partway while I am fertilizing. Okay, that's some hard work. Smells terrible out here. I'm from Texas. Anybody, if you've been to Galveston, it smells like Galveston Beach. That's what it smells like. Don't get me wrong, I still love going to Galveston Beach, but it smells like Galveston Beach. So kind of stinky. But anyway, it's extremely beneficial to the plants. If I was a really diligent gardener, I would be doing that once a week. For how I am now, if I get it once a month, I'm real lucky. So it is something I need to do a better job on. Truthfully, it would really help my garden succeed during the hardest times of the year if I would pay a little bit more attention giving it fertilizer to help limp it through. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed today's video, seeing all that ripped out and seeing now the empty slate, or I guess it's not empty, but open parts of the garden. And the next video, I hope you'll come back for the next video. The next video, we're going to talk more in depth about lantana, and then we're going to be planting several different varieties of lantana in the front and some in the backyard as well. And I'm going to talk a lot about lantana color, because that's what's going to give me my color this summer, where I don't have to worry about if we have a drought. I don't have to worry about insect damage on it. It just really is an awesome plant. So I'm really excited to really showcase it in the front yard this year. All right, you all, as always, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Every time you like and comment, it helps grow my channel so much. And be sure to check me out on my social media outlets, including Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. As always, she's a mad gardener or decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.